What's up, guys? Today, I want to do something super simple. I want to show you how Jesus is the only way, how no other religion could be the way. I said it was super simple because it's obviously not that simple, but I really felt like I've had ways to prove this in the past, and I feel like this is a really good way to prove it through the Bible, which a Muslim watching or someone of that sort, primarily someone who's a Muslim, will look at it and be like, well, the Bible's corrupt. That's their ideology. I could disprove that, Dead Sea Scrolls. But I want to fixate on this one verse that I believe, I don't know, I just think that it will help a lot of people be able to prove to others why Jesus is the way and why Allah isn't, or why even Hinduism doesn't work, or why legit any other way but Jesus doesn't work. And I'm excited. So it's in John 14, verse 6. And I'm sure many who are going to watch this have heard this verse, even if they're not Christian. And I hope that people who aren't Christians watch this, because I didn't grow up Christian, and I believe this will change your perspective. So if someone who's watching has a non-Christian friend, send this to them, because I'm about to go in. John chapter 14, verse 6, it says, Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. All right, let's break this down one at a time. The way, okay. If there is one way, well, there has to be one way. There's no feasible way. There could be a multitude of ways. I have a lot of people coming to me and saying that, okay, well, if you can follow Jesus, but don't force it on other people. There's anyone can practice whatever they want. Sure, they can. That doesn't mean they're following the right way. Okay? Why I say that is because I was deceived for 18 years to think that because of my hardness towards Christianity, I could follow whatever way. But if you actually think about it, just listen and think about this. Let it marinate in your mind. If we all have our own ways, there's no such thing as a true way. If we all have our own truths, there's no such thing as absolute truth. If your truth is true and my truth is true, and they contradict, which every religion contradicts against Jesus, then there's no such thing as truth. So why I believe Jesus is the way is because he says the way is narrow, while every other religion talks about how you do something, you work to something. But if you're working to something, then you're just making your own truth about what good work is. But Jesus shows us that he is the only way. He's the only one that died on the cross, because an eternal God had to die for an eternal wage. An eternal wage had to be paid by an eternal God, because a temporary man like me, a temporary wage that I have done, I've worked a lot of my life, I've done a lot of great good deeds, but it's all temporary. How could all of these temporary things suffice or make way for an eternal path? That doesn't make sense. Logically, that doesn't make sense. So that's why Jesus has to be the way. All right. Next is the truth. These coincide, because if something is the way, then it's also the truth. It's the way. It's the path. It's the path. It's the path that you're going on and the feet that bring you there. And so Jesus had to walk the path that we walk, to then die the death that we died, so that we could rise with him in the place that he's seated forever. And so Jesus is the way, because no other way, every other way contradicts itself and self-implodes, because it teaches that you have to do something and that your way is the right way. But if my way is the right way, and that guy's way is the right way, and the other guy's way is the right way, then they all implode on themselves, because they're all their own ways and they're not eternal. It's a substance that doesn't last forever, and that doesn't make sense. If you're striving for true logic, true knowledge, it has to be something deeper than the temporal mind can fathom. And so that's why I believe Jesus has to be the way and the absolute truth. That's why he proclaims that he's the way first, is because for someone to be the way or something to be the way, then it also has to be fully true. Why I believe he's fully true is, one, there's immense historical evidence of this man, Jesus. Not just that he was real, but that he did miracles, that he died on the cross, that he rose again. Over 500 people saw him risen again. That's what 1 Corinthians 15 says. And the last thing, he's the life. Why I believe this is because the first two had to be real. The first two had to be true for the last one to be true. I believe the first two point to us having a deeper life than just the physical. Anyone who's been alive for more than 1 year knows that there's something deeper than us than just a physical flesh, that there's something spiritual inside of us. There's a spiritual being, there's a consciousness inside of us. And so I believe that Jesus says that he's the life because he's showing us that there is an eternal life with him, a life that is greater than the dying flesh that we live in. And it's so cool because a multitude of religions talk about this eternal paradise or eternal Holy Land or this beauty and majesty. But Jesus says that he is that. And that's a very bold claim to say because it shows that he had to be before anything ever was and after anything ever was. And why I share that is because I believe it shows that we were made for something greater than just this earth. And someone can, if all I gave you was this last point, someone could argue that, okay, you have no proof of that. But I believe Jesus put these in the way that they are, the order that they are, the way, the truth, and the life, to show you the first two show us the last one. And that they all come together to bundle the beauty that he is the way, the truth, and the life, that no other religion or ideology or anything makes sense without him. And so I hope this encourages you. I hope if you don't know Jesus, if you do know Jesus, I hope that this can be a way for you to share Jesus and share to other people who have been struggling with seeing him as truth, to show that he really is the truth, that he really is the way, and that they can follow him. And what's cool about this, since he's the way, there's no striving in Jesus. Every other religion, you have to strive to do. You have to do this, you have to do that. And that sucks because you're trying to do all of these things when we weren't made for that. We were made in a garden to be tenders to the garden, to care for it and to be cared for. And so I just love that he said the way first, because he shows, hey, if you trust me, I'll show you exactly where to go. I'll show you that I formed you in your mother's womb. I have plans for you to prosper. That's what Jeremiah says. The truth, that we can search the ends of the earth for truth. We can search the ends of the earth for substance. When I became a Christian, I read the Bible in 30 days. And then I read it in 3 months. And I was like, this doesn't make sense, but I know it's true, but I want to make sure it's true. So then I read 3/4 of the Quran and I read 3/4 of the Book of Mormon. And I saw, being real with you, I saw how whack they were. And I saw how they legit fell on themselves and crumbled. And I could sit here and nitpick every single thing, but I'm here to tell you that this book, that Jesus really is who he says he is. He really is God. He really is eternal. And he is the truth. That he is the truth that we all stand on, that the earth, the universe substance stands on is him. For he formed it all. And I share that because when I met Jesus, I looked into all of these other religions to make sure Jesus was the true way, the true life, and the true truth. And that's all I found. Like I've searched these other religions after finding Jesus to make sure he was real. And all I can say is he really is who he says he is. And so I hope this is an encouraging message to you, to whoever's listening to this, that Jesus really is who he says he is. And this is a sign to start following him if you haven't. And if you have, this is a sign to tell others about this true life. Because if you have the cure to cancer and you don't give it to a cancer patient, that's pretty absurd. We as Christians have the cure to eternal death. It's Jesus. We can show people to eternal life. So I urge you, this is a reminder, and this is a huge declaration that no other religion makes sense. No other religion could suffice, because they all teach this wage dilemma that doesn't make sense. That we can work for an eternity, but that doesn't make sense because we only have 60 years on this earth, 80 years on this earth. A lot of my friends had 14 years on this earth. So how could they work enough in that 14 years for an eternity? It doesn't make sense. That's why an eternal God had to pay the eternal wage. Jesus, the Messiah, the King of Kings, Lord of Lords, is the way, the truth, and the life. He is the only way to enter heaven. He is the only way to be saved. He is the only way to experience true love. It's Him. You can experience it throughout the world, but He is the fullness of true love. And so I want you to know you can accept Jesus today. You can know Jesus because He wants to know you, and He already knows you. He knows you by your name, and He calls you by your name. So I hope this encourages you. I hope this helps you. And I hope you see Jesus.